where I started to recognize the word recovery. It wasn't until a few weeks ago, and it wasn't until a few weeks. Stop that. Hey guys, it's Crystal. So today I want to talk about recovery. I suppose for me, recovery started in 2003 when I was 16 years old. It started when I called Canadian Mental Health Services in search for a lady who educated my life strategies class about mental health and mental illness. It was then that I truly learned that I suffered from depression and anxiety. I had my suspicions, but after feeling the effects of it for many years beforehand, I somehow knew it was growing worse every day, and that if I didn't get the help I needed, my fate lied 6 feet under. My journey to recovery started with her, and it led to after-school sessions with my favorite teacher, whom I completely trusted and left all my secrets with. When I realized that wasn't enough, because of all the deep need to end all of this emotional turmoil within my head, I informed my mother, who then found me professional help. I spent the next 3 years talking about all my issues, my childhood, and learning to cope. My recovery stopped when I was 19 because I thought that I was healed, but when I was 24, I'd felt the effects of depression and anxiety push itself back into my life. So I sought out free therapy through my doctor's office. We clashed, and I only saw her twice. My recovery continued, and I sought out a low-income counseling center and saw a therapist there for the allotted 6 sessions for a very low fee. After that, I was seemingly on my own. However, recovery kept moving forward while I read about mental illness and how to better myself. I was yearning for a permanent therapist, and I somehow knew it would be beneficial on my road to recovery, and by the time I was 27, I finally found her. I consider it divine intervention because I had been praying constantly. My mental illnesses had once again come back, rendering me useless and incapable of holding down a job. I felt like it was sending my recovery on a backward track. This whole time, I didn't even know I was in recovery. I never thought of it that way. I was simply getting the help I knew I needed to survive one more day, as I was literally experiencing one day at a time. It wasn't until a few weeks ago, now at 29 years old, where I started to recognize the word recovery a lot. It came up in conversations with random people. It came up with conversations in my mental health group. It came up on the internet when I was watching YouTube. It was everywhere. I started to wonder what it means to me and what is recovery, so I asked my therapist. We had a good session talking about it, and through that I have learned a lot. I've learned that I've been in recovery since I was 16 years old. I learned that I hold the power to recovery, and at 16 years old, I showed great strength in starting recovery on my own. But when I needed help to continue on the path to recovery, I reached out. I've learned that recovery means something different to everyone. I've learned that I don't quite know what my definition of recovery is yet. It's something that I have decided to think about in hopes that I have a goal to work towards instead of living day to day, wondering what that day will bring me. I've also learned that recovery is lifelong. I learned that if someone takes medication for their mental illness, that it doesn't mean that they aren't or can't be recovered. Some people need it because of low brain chemicals. It would be like telling a diabetic not to take insulin, or a cancer patient not to seek out chemotherapy or consultations afterwards so they can stay alive and healthy. I've learned that recovery is hard. It is a lot of work, and it can be really frustrating at times. It involves 5 steps forward and 8 steps back. It involves tears and frustration and breakdowns, but it also involves happiness and triumph and success. If you are like me, and you are in recovery, and you haven't really given it much thought, I urge you to think about it. I urge you to reach out and to take that step on the road to recovery. Now, I finally feel like I have never been closer to recovery. I have learned many techniques and skills to control my mental illnesses, and I've learned to love myself despite these challenges in my life. And I've also learned to breathe. I've honestly become more kind to myself, and I have never been happier. That's not to say that I won't ever experience depression again, or experience high levels of anxiety, or witness my borderline personality traits come out to torment me, because I know that these things will happen. But because I have been walking, sometimes crawling, on the road to recovery, I have learned to be patient with myself when these things happen. And I know you can too. So please, don't give up hope. There is always help out there. And as you can tell from my story, sometimes it's in the small things and it starts very slowly. It takes courage, and I know that you have that. I will leave some links in the description below, and I would love to hear about your recovery story or what recovery means to you in the comment section. Thank you for watching, and peace out.